Welcome to episode 5 of the Birmingham Sports Podcast. Today, it's myself, Ethan, joined by Gunnar and Grant. How are you guys doing?
Good, man.
Good. That's good. We don't got too much this week, obviously, because sports still non-existent. But let's just jump right into it. Let's get into it with the Bulls real quick. One story, Matt Fuller made the first team All-SPHL. Actually, really solid stats. 5 power play tallies, which is the most of any defenseman. Second in goals and shots. Goals being 11 goals and 109 shots on goal. So that's honestly pretty good for a defenseman. And then 24 points from the blue line, which is third most by a defenseman. Well-deserved, but not surprising in a way, but kind of surprising. The Bulls season wasn't really there to be had this year as it was last year. But last year, I don't know how many people made the All-SPHL teams. But obviously, Josh Harris had an MVP to his name. And this year, that's the only mention at all for him. So not much working with right there. Any comment on that?
I mean, props to him. I mean, obviously, the season was cut short with the Bulls being one place out of the playoffs. So, like I said on the first podcast, I think, it would have been interesting to see if, they could have made a run for the playoffs. But, I mean, obviously, all of the SPHL is going to have to, just wait it out and resume next year. But that's the part that isn't good. But, I mean, it's good that, even though the Bulls weren't having a good season, that the recognition is coming their way now with at least one player. So it's decent. But
question, do you see the SPHL seasons scheduled to start in October? Do you see that happening?
Right now, I would say yes. And even if they go the route with, not allowing any fans to come in and watch for a little bit until things go back to normal, so to say, I would say October, if things, and I mean, anything could happen with coronavirus, obviously, right now, and we're not sure, but October seems far enough away where, the U.S. government and all the other stuff, all the other involved parties can get their stuff together, get their act together, and sort out sports. Because whether it's been college football and anything I'm watching on ESPN, a lot of people are setting August as now, like the ideal start time for, like, if sports are going to happen, they want to get them back fully underway in August for at least college football, which would be, on track to what's going on end of August, beginning of September. So, I mean, if October can be the ideal start date and it stays that way, I think that'd be fine. And I think that's, if we can get a handle on things, and that should be a pretty decent start date, and, good to set those goals now. And like I said, it's pretty unexpected with what could go down and what could happen, but we'll just have to wait and see, and only time will tell, I guess.
And it's, going back to the fan aspect of it? I mean, SPHL, they're only pulling the Bulls only pulling 1,400 max on a good night. But moving on, that's pretty much with the Bulls. We got Barons talk, Grant, this year's specialty. What's going on with the Barons?
So the Barons are kind of in a holding pattern, as with every other sports league, but them even more so because of their direct affiliation with Major League Baseball. So they won't do anything. The minor league baseball will not do anything until Major League Baseball makes their decision on how they're going to handle the 2020 season. And I'm not sure how familiar everyone is with Major League Baseball and kind of like what they're planning on doing. But they're planning on having all 30 teams play in Arizona, where the White Sox actually have their spring training facility. There's 13 or so stadiums that they can play in. And there's this big plan where they're going to have all the teams stay in hotels in Arizona and play an abbreviated season until the fall, when they can potentially move back to their home cities. So obviously right now, we're not going to find anything out about the Barons until anything from MLB is solidified. And going off of that, we won't know anything about the rosters, so it's really hard to kind of preview what we think the Barons can do this year. Again, until that is set, till MLB decides what they're going to do, because there's talk of expanding the rosters, to like 40 players from 26. So there's a good chance that some players that would play for Birmingham this year would end up going up to Charlotte or going up to Chicago, in a very extenuating circumstance. And we wouldn't have found out the Barons roster till after spring training was done anyway, and the opening day rosters were set. So we can't even really preview what their season's going to look like until then, because the White Sox ultimately have free range over the Barons and can decide what they're going to do with the team. It doesn't even look that great for the Barons even getting to play a season this year. I saw an article today from NBC Sports that pretty much said that minor league baseball teams rely on having fans in the stands to be able to make revenue, to be able to, upkeep the ballpark and pay players and pay some sponsorship and stuff like that. If there's no fans in the stands, then there's likely not going to be a season because they can't afford to do that. And unlike Major League Baseball, the Barons don't have a multi-million-dollar TV deal with Fox or NBC. And they rely completely on having fans in the stands on the weekends, on Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, with the firework and all those other specials, and then having fans in on holidays to make up for the lack of fans that they have on a weeknight when there's maybe 5,000 people there, and then they can up that number substantially on a weekend. So if they don't get any fans at all, they're not going to be able to completely afford to do everything. And from what I've seen, there's still talk of this being the last year of the 160 minor league teams. So next year could be completely different with the league reducing down to 120 teams. So the Barons could move up to AAA. They could move down to single A. And heaven forbid, they could not even be here next year. I think that they probably will because they're one of the more successful and storied franchises, especially with Michael Jordan playing here. He's got his documentary going out tonight, so everyone will know about the Barons. But it's not looking great for that, and they will likely stay in whatever after this year. But if there is a season this year, I think that there's reason to be excited. Last year, guys like Gavin Sheets took over late in the season once the big three were called up to AAA. And with the new manager coming in this year, there's new feeling of new opportunities for the Barons to be successful, which they were at the beginning of the second half of the season last year before they fell apart down the stretch once Nick Madrigal got called up to AAA. And there's some big guys that I think will make an impact for the Barons this year if they get the chance to play. In my opinion, the biggest name of all of them is Andrew Vaughn, who last year was the third overall pick in the MLB draft out of California. He was a great player in college at first base for California, won the Golden Spikes Award his sophomore year, which is pretty much the Heisman Trophy of college baseball. He's a really good hitter. That's his strong suit, much more so than fielding, which is why he plays at first base. He's not that fast, but he's got a really good upside. And on the MLB 2080 system, he's a 60, meaning he's got above average potential. And I think he's projected to be a big league player for the White Sox next year. And then the Barons have an opportunity to bolster the rotation and the bullpen this year specifically with right-handed pitcher Jonathan Stever, who was a fifth-round pick in 2018. He was really good in his sophomore season at Indiana prior to getting injured in his junior year, but he was averaging a strikeout per inning, just about 97 strikeouts in 100 innings in his sophomore season. He's got a really good fastball, upper 90s. And he's got some really good breaking stuff. So if he has an opportunity to play for the Barons this year, he'll be a big aspect of any sort of success that they're able to have. And he doesn't walk much, which is something that was a big problem for the Barons last year because the rotation and specifically the bullpen walked a lot of batters down the stretch.
So I want to piggyback off of one topic you just mentioned, the new manager, Justin Jerschel. He just turned 30 like 2 weeks ago, which is crazy. Yeah. I know he spent most of or all of his career in the minors with the White Sox. Just do you know anything more about him?
I don't know much, partly fault of my own, not really looking into him a whole lot, but also these minor league managers, you don't know a whole lot about them, but they always have potential to be very successful. He was really good in Winston-Salem, where he was last, and they were a very successful team. And if you look at the players that came through Birmingham very quickly last year, namely Nick Madrigal, who was here for like 2 months, he spent the entire first half of the season in single A with Justin Jershell. So he's got an opportunity to really progress the Barons players in a way, and he's got a great staff coming in. So I think that his style of managing games, and as well as his staff that he's bringing up from single A, it'll be a good combination, and we can hopefully see some success.
Nice. And going back to the Barons season, what do you see going on? Let's say MLB does that. They all go to Arizona. They have the first part of their season played there. What do you think the minor leagues will look like then? Because obviously we're not going to have as many games, if any, until who even knows when. Yeah,
so we're obviously not going to have the full 140-something game season, but it's really interesting because Arizona has the ability to host 30 Major League Baseball teams. That's not going to be a problem for them. They've got – I was listening to a podcast about the Atlanta Braves last night, and they were talking about this plan, and they said that most of these minor spring training stadiums have built up casinos and hotels around them. So they have the ability to host their players there. So it's not going to be a big deal for the Major League. And the whole reason that they're doing this is so that they can have all of their players in one centralized location, and they can make sure that they're not getting exposed to this virus. And there's nowhere that has the ability to host potentially 160 minor league baseball teams. So I think if there's anything, it'll be a AAA and maybe a AA season in Florida, the other spring training home, because there's about 15 stadiums there as well. But I wouldn't hold my breath on that. I haven't heard anything about the minor league baseball season. That's kind of like the afterthought for Major League Baseball right now. I think that there could be an aspect where they have the team stay in a hotel or an apartment or something like that, and they go to and from the stadium only. They play in an empty stadium, and then they travel like they normally would. But again, I have no clue. I haven't seen much about that.
Yeah, I know Florida actually would make sense. I don't know if the majors might be looking at that because all the spring training facilities, for the one interesting aspect that the Florida governor put out a statement saying like all sports are deemed essential if they're on a national level. So, I mean, obviously minor leagues isn't on a national level, but I mean, it still leaves that space open where it's a possibility because she did that.
The problem.
Go ahead.
The problem with that is Major League Baseball is also potentially looking at Florida and just having their teams return to their spring training locations and play their season out by changing up the divisions and leagues and having all the teams that play spring training in Florida make that the Grapefruit League, which is going to be 15 teams. They'll split the divisions up. They'll play the season like normal. Do that in Arizona as well. So they might not have that ability. So, again, it's completely up to what MLB does first because they're in charge. They have all the money. And then what the MLB does will allow minor league baseball to pick what they do if they can do anything.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it's not looking hopeful, honestly, for minor league. But, I mean, at the end of the day, there's going to be sports.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of when. But, I mean, yeah. Anything else on Barons? That pretty much summed it up, man. Gunnar, you got anything? I know this isn't your realm.
Expertise. No, I mean, I agreed with everything Grant said, and he does raise a really good point. And I mean, the case with the Barons relying on a lot of fundraising and, you know, special jersey nights and all that stuff. I mean, that's something the entire minor league baseball league has to do. So a whole bunch of teams are, you know, dealing with this right now. It's not just the Barons, but I mean, yes, the Barons are in a pretty good situation with, like, you know, Michael Jordan having played for them, Frank Thomas having played for them, a bunch of really big MLB names, or at least, you know, names in society like Michael Jordan. But yeah, I mean, the Barons could be better off, they could be worse off, but I mean, we just got to wait and see.
I think they're definitely the best off out of the AA teams.
For sure. Yeah. And I mean, considering Regents Field is probably the nicest, you know,
it's
double
one of the newest and nicest stadiums, exactly. And they're a staple. They're one of the only teams that doesn't relocate every few years. So I think that the Barons will be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what was it? The Trash Pandas came from. They were the Mobile Bay Bears.
Mobile Bay Bears. Now they're the Trash
Pandas.
Nice.
That's a nice stadium though, up in Huntsville.
It is.
I want to go up there, but we haven't.
I want to go to Biloxi. Biloxi is. I mean, that stadium is beautiful. It got the casinos in the back, right on the water. That is like one of the Southern League teams I want go to a game and, watch.
We just make like a trek around the whole Southern League.
Jackson.
But, we haven't touched on it all in previous episodes, but since you're the baseball expert with us, you want to touch on the 160 teams going possibly down to 120-ish?
So what I've seen, and I hadn't seen this, I actually completely forgot about them doing this until the article that I mentioned earlier. The plan is still to go along with it. And the 40 teams that they take away from a sanctioned minor league baseball league, so single A, double A, triple A, they're not going to be gone. Those 40 teams will play in an independent league that's just for developing players, but they won't be affiliated with a major league team. I believe every major league team has to cut down to 4 minor league affiliates. And each team's got about 6 right now. They've got rookie ball, like 2 or 3 in rookie ball, and then single, double A, and triple A. And the requirement once this all takes place, which it could be pushed a little further back when it actually takes place, is they can only have a triple A team, a double A team, a single A team, and a rookie ball team. Most likely going to be the Arizona Fall League, which takes place after every season is over with. So the 40 teams that go away will not actually be gone. They'll find a different league to be able to play in, similar to the Atlantic League, which I'm not sure if many people have heard of, but that they actually were the league that debuted the robot umps last year. Yeah. They're a completely separate league. They're not affiliated with Major League Baseball in any way, but their players can be selected and be signed to minor league contracts and then play through the minor leagues. So those 40 teams will likely become a league like that. I believe it was going to be a Field of Dreams League is what the MLB called it back when they made the announcement, which is pretty much going to be the AAF or the XFL of minor league baseball, where guys that maybe played in college and didn't get drafted will have an opportunity to continue to play. They won't make much, but they'll have an opportunity to play baseball and get exposure on a semi-pro level to get signed to a major league contract.
Gotcha. Transitioning over to, we know rosters aren't set, obviously, but who are you most excited for? Take about the main guys that were in Birmingham last year, like your Luis Gonzalez's, your Gavin Sheets, those type of guys who have a chance to be back here again at the start of the season. Who do you think will have the biggest impact for the time that they're here?
I'm going to go with Gavin Sheets. Once the infield kind of cleared out last year, and he was the main guy in the lineup. I think he ended up batting cleanup a lot of the season once Madrigal and all the big guys that got cleared out at the beginning of the season moved up to AAA. He was really consistent. And after the season was over, I did an article kind of breaking down each player's stats for the season. He was one of the highest performing players for the Barons all season. He won't be here very long, I don't think, especially with Andrew Vaughn coming up through the system. I hope that Gavin moves up to AAA and not go down, or he finds a designated hitter role within the franchise, because that's what he ended up playing with quite a bit last year, was as a DH. But he is an extremely impressive player. He's got great power, and he's a great fielder as well. So if he's up here for any amount of time this year, he'll be a big spark for the offense.
Nice. Is there anything else we covered pretty much everything on Barons, but is there any breaking news or any inside info you got for us?
I have a question for you, Grant. I have a question.
What's that?
Explain a little bit, because we touched on how the Barons in terms of Double A are better off than other teams, maybe even in the Southern League. How is that different for the Charlotte Knights, for Kannapolis, for Winston-Salem? Are those teams going to be struggling worse than a Birmingham would be? Is there not that much difference?
Well, I'm not as familiar with those 3 teams, obviously, because I'm in Birmingham and I do the most focus on the Barons. But I do know that the Knights are in a perfectly fine position. They've got a beautiful ballpark in downtown Charlotte, and they're consistently drawing high numbers of fans. I'm not sure about Winston-Salem or Kannapolis. I feel like they'll probably be fine, but I'm not completely sure, so don't quote me on that. But I will be honest, the White Sox as an organization have money, so if those franchises, or not franchises, but those organizations start to struggle financially, then the White Sox can can jump in there and give them a little bit of help if they need it. But
Sure.
I think that they'll be fine as well.
Highly recommend going to the Knights if you can.
Yeah, they've got a beautiful.
How far away is Charlotte from Birmingham?
It's like 6 hours.
6.5.
6 hours. Yeah.
6.5. Yeah, it's a beautiful ballpark. I've been a couple times, I think. But I mean, honestly, I say that in Regents Field, best like stadiums by far in probably pretty much all of minor leagues.
Yeah.
But what is it? Yeah, in Winston-Salem, I'm pretty sure they'll be fine because I know their community is really focused around the Dash, so there shouldn't be any issues there. Whereas
the Carolina League is a very successful single A league, so they'll be fine, I think.
Yeah. Moving over, we talked about all the specialty nights, that'll keep the Barons afloat, and how fans really push the franchise. Moving over to another team that the fans push, Gunnar, you're going to be happy for this time now. The Legion. We got a lot to talk about here, but go straight into it, Gunnar. I'll let you take this lead.
First things first, obviously, we're in a time of crisis, and we can't really underestimate how well Birmingham and the Legion and, small business owners and private investors are helping out with the Birmingham Strong and the BHAM Strong hashtag and the donations. So for those who don't know, the Legion itself implemented a really cool T-shirt concept design, and they're selling it. I'm not sure how much a T-shirt is. It might be $20.
It's 20, I believe.
$20, and then every $10 is donated to fund the Birmingham Strong. And as of April 16th, I just checked, they've raised over $2,000 in donations. So they're getting a decent turnout with people wanting to buy these and help for a good cause. But yeah, no, the shirt is, if you haven't seen it, it's a really clean looking white shirt with Birmingham Strong in black, and then it has like a kind of a gold crest like emblem on the center of the shirt and a logo at the bottom. But no, it's a really good cause. I want to look more into getting one for myself, and I think that the Legion and local businesses are doing a really good job, raising awareness. So got to give them a shout out for that for sure. Secondly, the position videos experienced the first segment with the goalkeepers. So we had the newcomer Parker, who was at New Mexico and then UC Irvine, I believe. But this is his first year with the Legion. But him, Trevor Spangenberg, who is a former Richmond kicker, used to play in Puerto Rico, as you know, and obviously Matt Van Okel, fan favorite. If you guys haven't seen it yet, it's on YouTube. It's on the Birmingham Legion website, but they put together some pretty dang entertaining dialogue for a long time, and I love this idea. I love the series. I mean, it really hit home to hear the boys talk about how they're still able to play the Wii, but then how MVO didn't have it, and now it just it makes me miss my Wii, makes me miss Wii Sports. But it's good that these guys are spending time just enjoying life in a national and worldwide crisis like this that no one's ever experienced before. So it's fun to listen and hear how down to earth they are and just what's going on. MVO had that fresh haircut that he was repping, the shaved sides that went hard, gotta admit. But I'm really looking forward to the rest of the series. In particular, I'm most excited for the forwards because I haven't really listened to Nico Brett talk about anything. Spoken a few times with Brian Wright, but it should be interesting to hear what him and for sure Chandler Hoffman have to say about how things are going, because Chandler's got his YouTube channel, the Chan and Jew channel that he's continued posting on, whether that be training videos or all of his recovery videos. I watched every single one of them. It was a really, really entertaining journey. I'm not sure if it's going to be how much of that he'll dive into, but for sure, Brian Wright, Hoffman, Nico Brett, and if they include Kasim into the forward group, I'm not sure if they'd classify him as a midfielder or a forward, but I'm sure it depends on the numbers and stuff, and we'll just have to wait and see about that. But I'm really looking forward to seeing this series continue for sure. Another thing I wanted to ask you about, Ethan, specifically, Eddie Opoku. I've been kind of stalking the Instagrams about the rumors of him possibly returning to Birmingham. And I want to get your opinion because I have an opinion on it. And I want to get your opinion about, a potential move back, because obviously we know he's been dealing with injuries. He's been in New York. He's been all over the place, basically. And do you see a move for Eddie, who is one of my favorite players last year during his time actually playing his shorter time in comparison? But do you see that move being beneficial for him, for the Legion and just for all involved parties? And do you think it's possible?
Real quick, Prosper is listed as a forward. So on what is it, their website?
Yeah, that's what I saw. So I figured.
But okay, so I'm gonna take this from two different ways here. What I want to happen is Eddie, if the dude's healthy, bring the man back. Okay, for two reasons. The play, he's he's not going to be that guy that's going to start every game, give you 90 minutes every game. He's that guy that's going to come off the bench, give you the spark that you need maybe in late. Like kind of we saw sparks of him against Westchester and Tampa Bay whenever he had that insane
goal, upper 90, And I'm forgetting the goalie's name for Tampa Bay, but that dude played an insane game. He played an insane, and he wasn't even their starter. He split time half, throughout the year with another guy, but that goal that Eddie got on him was an insane goal, and that's such a good memory from last year.
Yeah, and honestly, Eddie is he's your typical guy that goes to the MLS, doesn't get as much playing time, goes few loan spells, and then just gets cut altogether. But I feel like personally, from a personal aspect of it, I want him to come back because of those reasons. He's just another weapon that we can use. I mean, we are stacked at forward and midfield, but a guy like that, if you have the opportunity to sign him, in my opinion, you sign him, you take the opportunity. Sure. And from another aspect point of view, his brand, Be Happy, just the guy in general, take soccer completely out of it. His brand, Be Happy and stuff like that, the energy he brings, I feel like is immense to this team. He's a guy that's always going 100%, always putting smiles on people's faces. And the work that he does in the community outside of soccer is like, what more could you ask for him, from him? He's just always out there doing stuff. And then from a Legion point of view, I would say it's the same way. I've heard, Heaps really liked him, would bring him back. It's all about injury now. If he's healthy, if he can last, throughout the whole season, which I feel like this time period is actually very beneficial to him because he's getting his recovery in from his surgery. If he's even had it yet, I don't know if he's had it.
I've not heard. Yeah,
but this period is like honestly perfect for him because if he can get that surgery and recovery, if he hasn't already, I mean, the sky's the limit if this guy comes back. It's definitely going to be hard because I'm looking at the forwards right now. You got Rudolph, Prosper, Chandler, Nico, Brian. It's kind of the same way. Yeah, so it's the same way as I looked at Chandler whenever JJ came in. It was going to be really hard for Chandler to break through, but it looked like he was going to take that role of coming off the bench. And I kind of see the same for Eddie now. He'll probably be battling it out with Mensa ultimately to get that spot. But that's just my opinion on it. That was a lot, I know. But sum it all up, yes, bring him back because what he does on the field, it's beneficial. What he does off the field, in my opinion, is immensely beneficial. So that's my take on it.
Got to say I agree with that. I haven't talked to Eddie extensively or anything. I've met him once after a game, but just talking to him, you can tell the dude is incredibly humble, but also just, so blessed with the opportunity to get to play, loves the game. Like you said, his Be Happy movement, that's, it speaks for itself, obviously. And he's just a really, really, energetic, fun-loving guy. So I almost want to say in this situation, off the field could be more important for his impact on the team. But some of the games he had last year, obviously Tampa Bay, but even Westchester, sure, they're amateurs, but the dude can play, and we could see that clearly. And Indy 11 was another game at Indy. He didn't score, but he was really, really good that game at creating chances for himself. And if he could have slotted one of the two goals, or just put one of those away would have been a different story, and we wouldn't have lost 3-0, obviously. But just to have someone who has positive energy, like I feel like that could never be undervalued with the Legion. But no, Eddie for sure is a really good guy, and you could tell just from talking to him just a little bit. So I agree with what you have to say, for sure, and hopefully Jay Heaps trusts his decision making when it comes to a guy like that, and if he can stay injury free, I think he could be a really, really beneficial asset, even if it's just coming in for the last 10 to 15 minutes of a game, providing that spark. The dude's incredibly fast. I would put him right next to Razak for probably the fastest on the team last year. But I think he's I don't know too much about his situation with what he wants to actually do, if he'd be willing to come back to Birmingham, but I feel like he could be valued with the Legion for sure.
Yeah, and what is it? This kind of ironic that I'm mentioning injury right now, but you have to look at if we bring him back. The depth chart is just crazy as it is right now. But if you insert him in, you have to think longevity. If we do end up playing a full season, and this is true for like last season too, injuries, they take a toll, they pile up. Let's say there's a game, Wright goes out with an injury, Hoffman goes out with an injury for like 3 weeks. Let's say they're on 3-week injuries. Brett's out for 1 game for that game, that leaves you with Kasim and Mensah type deal. And that can happen, as crazy as it sounds, 3 of your 5 forwards going out.
Yeah.
It's very possible. Just to have that depth of Eddie coming back in just gives you that one more reassurance that you just have that state of mind where you're like, okay, even if 3 of our guys go down, we're fine.
After watching last year's season and thinking about our depth this year, I can't complain, because how plagued we were last year with injuries. Even Van Okel missed probably a month of gameplay early on in the season. So I think that sure, while people may say, what are they doing? They're getting too many forwards. Look at our case with defense last year. If we had those numbers, if we stacked up on defenders, if Tyler Turner never left, if Appia never left, those guys would have really, really been able to step in rather than, bringing a guy like Femi back, who sure he can play center back, but he's obviously a forward to begin with, and not have to struggle with, replacing guys in unnatural positions, kind of like Mikey on the outside back. Sure he could play, but we know he can score. He should be in the midfield. He helped us out scoring last year, but just the disarray that came with all the injuries last year, it seems like, it worked out in the end, and we were able to clinch a playoff berth and stuff like that. But it's just, I feel like we'd be a lot better off, better safe than sorry. I know we're not blessed with money, no USL team. Maybe Louisville, but I'm not really, I don't even want to speak about that.
Got tons of it.
Yeah. The Legion, I don't know how much they're going to be, paying players and what they can offer guys in a financial sense, but just to have that depth, I really don't see that as a problem, especially at the forward position, like you said, because across the board, we have a ton of different players. Brian Wright, big, strong, gonna outmuscle you, outwork you. Rudolph, you could tell the dudes can fly, scoring that goal against Atlanta. Hoffman, hopefully clinical finisher, and just being able to slot stuff away in clutch moments. So just the variation we have. Nico Brett, dude's a stud, just in general, fast. So just the differentiation between the style of play we have with our forwards, I feel like we could do a lot of stuff with those guys, and mixing it up would not be a bad thing, in my opinion, because you don't want to have, last year I feel like we ran into problems, and I don't want to say we ran into problems, but with JJ and Brian, those dudes played very, very similarly. If you think about it, the body type themselves, strong dudes are going to outmuscle you, not the fastest, but to have that variation, to throw in a guy like Eddie there, or to throw in maybe like Rudolph or Nico, one of those guys who can, really balance speed with the muscle of a guy like Brian Wright, then I feel like we'd be in a really, really beneficial position, because then the defense is worrying about multiple things compared to, okay, these 2 guys are 6'3" and they're going to just try to outmuscle us. We got to, play fast, play around them, and then get things moving the other way. But just to have that variation, I feel like with the depth we have is definitely a good thing.
Yeah, one more thing I want to touch on, Eddie, before we move on, is One thing they might were looking at him at the beginning of the offseason, maybe, like checking in on him, seeing how his injury's doing. Whenever it was announced he was released from Columbus, they had interest bringing him back, maybe, if they did. Yeah, if they did have interest bringing him back. But now that they have Rudolph in, they might not want to bring him in because they might see that as a stunting of his growth, maybe. I don't want to say stunting his growth, but something along the lines of that. Because definitely if you put Eddie in the mix, playtime is going to decrease from everybody, obviously, a little bit. So, I mean, that's just one more aspect to it.
How old is Eddie, by the way?
I can find out.
He's got to be 23-ish, maybe. So,
he's young.
Yeah, I was going to say, because, like, to have that, he has experience. He has some playing experience. And even at Virginia, you're going to get a lot of great experience playing in the ACC.
Yeah,
but, I was going to say, I mean, we don't really know how much experience a guy like Rudolph has. And like you said, could it be detrimental to his personal growth? Would it be motivation to work with a guy like Eddie, who has that experience? Can he learn from that moment? I don't really know. And I mean, I don't think I can speak on saying, if the Legion brought back Eddie, then, Rudolph's going to be super motivated to work even harder to earn playing time and stuff like that. You really don't know. Cause I mean, these guys, obviously, if you're working on a team, and it seems like all the teammates really, really get along. And I mean, unlike other teams with, like, I don't know, Hartford, that in-game, and what's DC United team, the Loudoun United for sure. They had dudes who obviously just hated each other, even at Laine United too. I mean, you can see one with the effort, and then two just guys yelling at each other and blaming each other all game long. You never really saw that with the Legion, which is a super, super good aspect of the way we play. Like, even when things were bad, they stuck together. And, besides Matt Van Oekel, yelling a few times at people when he gets heated after, giving up a goal, conceding or whatever, it was never really bad. So I feel like the team bonding is super, super tight, and it's just a really tight-knit team, which is super good for, the Legion, especially as a new team, bringing in players from all over the place. And I mean, obviously, some guys knew each other from, like, the Revolution and stuff like that, and the crew. But it's tough with a first-year team to bond the way the Legion did, and they overcame adversity all year long with injuries, with losing, with starting off just not being able to gel properly, and then over time working their way up. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that would be an issue. Like, if Eddie came in, him and Rudolph, they're not going to like each other because, they're vying for playing time, and whoever it may be, Nico, Brett, whatever, Brian Wright, all the forwards. I don't really see that being a problem, but I mean, I don't want to, like, confirm like that it wouldn't be a problem or anything, but I just, all in all, I wouldn't be opposed to Eddie coming back to Birmingham. And I think I could leave it at that because the dude's a really likable guy. Like I said, I always thought he deserved a little more playing time last year, because with a guy like him, especially when we're down in games, I feel like he was the guy that should have for sure been inserted in the game in, like, the 80th minute to, try and make one last push for a goal, one last spark. He was that guy that I feel like, and maybe that's a different person this year. Maybe it's Rudolph. I don't know. Maybe if we're losing a game, it could be Rudolph. But I mean, obviously it's not going to be a Nico, Brett, or Brian Wright. Those guys, from the looks of things, aren't going to be coming off the bench in the 80th minute trying to make that push. But I would definitely not be opposed to Eddie making a return to Birmingham if he wants that, and if he feels like that would be the best.
Yeah, and you mentioned Loudoun United. I want to, like, go off on a little rabbit trail real quick. That triggered a thing. I was watching an Instagram Live about a week ago, I'd say. It was Akeem Ward and this other guy. I think he played for Chattanooga last year, but now he's in Germany. He has his own, like, consulting company. I think they're buddies since they were little. But it was pretty interesting. He was telling the story of kind of how he got from DC to Birmingham, and it went like they played in a friendly against, I don't know who, I can't recall, but he was on his way home from the friendly, and he got a call back from, like, I guess the GM to come back to the stadium and stuff. He went back to the stadium. Turns out he was getting released. And he got released, and he was talking about how quickly in the MLS these guys get released. Like, they brought in somebody to training, like, the day before. He's like, oh, who's this guy? Type deal. Unbeknownst to him, it was his replacement. But he went back and stuff, and he ended up with the Legion. but he didn't find this out until a little bit after. But an assistant coach that he wasn't really close with, if I recall correctly, actually called up Sohn and said, "Hey, we're releasing this guy. You should take a look at him." And I guess took a look at him, picked him up. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Interesting.
How that kind of worked out behind the scenes. But do miss that guy. I don't know. I thought he should have came back. He was pretty high up on my get back list.
Yeah,
if you want to call
agreed.
it. But moving on, what is it from Eddie Opoku talk? Eli Crognale, Alex Crognale's brother, apparently signed with the Legion. That's what Jay Heap said in his coffee talk. No official announcement, which I'm kind of surprised about, which makes me think that there's something up, but there can't really be something up, I guess. But just another depth piece, honestly, to add. I didn't do my research. Do you know what position he plays? Because we didn't see him against Atlanta.
No, I was going to say, I really don't know. I mean, I could speak about Alex Crognale, but just not hearing the name on social media, like you said, was surprising to me because the Legion are always really, really good about posting signings immediately and stuff like that. So maybe there is something else going on, or maybe they want to, I'm not sure if they would loan him out after just signing him or whatever. But I mean, you said Heaps said that he was signed, or was it Sohn?
Heaps.
So yeah, I mean, I would assume that's official then. But I mean, if he's like his brother, then sure. I mean, I guess we could have another defensive piece, but I don't want to make the assumption that he's a center back or anything. But based off the last name, hopefully there's promise. I mean, I really don't know anything about him, so we'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
I'm going to give you a breakdown real quick of him. I remember reading this one time before he was signed or whatever. He won a national championship with Maryland, so he was there with Bergman.
Okay.
It looks like he's a midfielder. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I thought. In his senior season, let's see here, played 20 matches and started 19 with 1,600 minutes. Led the Terps with 5 assists and tied for second on the team with 4 goals. Excuse me. Earned first team All Big Ten honors. Earned second team United Soccer Coaches All North Regional honors, whatever that is. Notched an assist in the season opener. All of his solid player.
Yeah, and I mean the Big Ten's a good conference for soccer, obviously with teams like IU, Maryland. But I mean, sure, it's going to be a step up in competition even from that. I guess the USL would be, but I mean, it sounds like he's pretty experienced, and if he's anything like Bergman, former teammates, then that'd be a good sign because from the Atlanta United game, Bergman did a pretty decent job, So I know that's a defender. Comparing one to a midfielder that I have no idea, and I've never actually seen play, but I'll have to look up some highlights on him and do a little more research and see what it's like. But if he's signed, that's good for him and good for the team that we're building some more depth then.
That is interesting because that would make our midfield to look like Ugarte, who's obviously your bench guy, might get an appearance in the Open Cup if there was Open Cup. You got Lopez, who's obviously your midfielder now. Not really.
Yeah.
Asieudu, Kobayashi, Akinyode, Lapa, and Cervania. So I see, if he's coming in, I see him and Lapa directly competition for that.
Yeah.
For those minutes. But
and I mean, right now, from the looks of things, I feel like Bolu and Anderson are for sure going to be locks in the midfield area, and then with Lopez maybe taking the role of an attacking midfielder. I mean, that's going to be another pretty much lock on who'd be starting for us, and as long as they stay healthy, that would be the go-to lineup. I feel like, in my opinion. But no, for sure, because Lapa is out of Wake Forest, correct?
Yes.
So yeah, and just based on their age, I could feel like they'd be good competition for each other. Vying for playing time, whether that be, like you said, in the Open Cup. That's who knows what's going to happen with that. Really disappointed we don't get to play Chattanooga now because I feel like that would have been an enjoyable game. But yeah, I mean, depth isn't a bad thing with our past regarding injuries. So I feel like, especially with a guy like Crognale and a guy who has that, Big Ten experience and a really good conference and at the D1 college level, then I think that's a pretty good move.
Yeah, and I know, what is it? This is probably a topic you want to touch on, but I'm just going to go ahead and go into it. It's kind of in line with the Barons, the season starting timeline. Right now, they're saying they can still get the full season in. There's been talks of splitting up the conferences into like divisions and playing like, I don't know who would be in our division. Like everybody, I want to say it's like NCFC, Charlotte, Atlanta,
yeah.
And playing everybody like 3 or 4 times.
I'm kind of opposed to that idea in general because of, our setup at least last year was really, really good and I enjoyed. And I mean, I'm sure the players would disagree on those freezing cold, rainy nights in New York and the cold nights in Hartford where we're losing to the worst team in the USL. What was the score of that game? Like 5-0? Didn't we lose to Hartford like 5-0 away?
I put that.
But that was
mind.
during the play. That was during the playoff push. So I'm sure that game is bad news, and they don't want to remember that. Any of the Legion players do, anyways. But I'm kind of opposed to that because I actually like that aspect of the game. Some of our best games last year towards playoff time against Philadelphia, I think it was a 3-2 win. Like when Philadelphia equalized twice, and then Mikey Lopez had the goal that allowed us to win 3-2 that game after, because I think JJ had a goal earlier in the game off the header, if you remember that insane goal. That was the goal JJ scored and flex, and that was just an insane goal. But I really like how the USL, similar to the MLS, offers that opportunity to basically, and I know we're not going to be going anywhere in the West because it's split like that already. But just basically traveling north to south, the Legion have a lot of opportunities, play in MLS stadiums like they did in Philadelphia. They're not going to have that in Kansas City, or are they? Does Kansas City 2 or Sporting Kansas City play in the stadium?
Yes, they did last year. So
okay, because I knew that aren't they changing names now? Like, aren't they now Sporting Kansas City 2 instead of whatever?
Yeah, and like same with Philadelphia Union 2.
Instead of Bethlehem Steel or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get what I mean by saying those team names. But I like that aspect of things, how, the Legion always wouldn't be playing here in Atlanta. And yeah, of course I want to go out and watch the boys, but I mean, it's kind of cool to watch them on TV playing in a huge MLS stadium in Philadelphia or stuff like that. So I feel like that aspect of things. And I mean, obviously I'm not going to say that with COVID-19 going on that one idea is better than another for like player safety, or because I'm just a fan at the end of the day. I'm just a fan, and I shouldn't really have that deciding aspect on, they should be allowed to go to Hartford and play because I want to watch them play, in Hartford or in Loudoun or whatever. But I mean, just that aspect of playing in the different stadiums versus playing in 4 different stadiums and playing teams over and over again. Like, sure.
It'd get stale quick.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm kind of opposed to that idea, but obviously I'm not going to have any final decision on what's going to happen.
See, and one thing that actually is different from last year, and it helps with, I can't find the right word, but Ottawa is no longer, so there's no longer international travel. So that works in favor of everything. So,
was there an issue with a player we had who like didn't have a passport or something and wasn't allowed to go to the Ottawa game, or am I thinking of a different team that happened?
You're thinking of a different team. What's that guy's name? He like at Atlanta, and he got loaned to Indy this year. That young stud.
Yeah, who he has teams on some under 21 or whatever US team, right?
Yeah, and like attitude issues or something. He forgot his passport and he couldn't go play like Toronto, I want to say.
Shoot, yeah. He's got like red hair, doesn't he?
I don't think so. He's got longer hair, I thought.
You're talking about a white guy?
Yeah.
I'm not remembering his name.
I'm gonna look that up real quick. Get back to you.
But anyways, because he had that assist to Joseph Martinez on that headed goal in the MLS, and then because I saw that on his Instagram page, I think, and then I didn't even realize he played for Indy 11.
Andrew Carlton.
But yeah, that makes sense because look at his Instagram for all the videos of him like nutmegging teammates, and then having that assist to Joseph Martinez on the header against I think it was Vancouver Whitecaps. But yeah.
Like
that's my USL team, not my personal USL team, but the Indy 11. That's the team that people back home would go for. So that's why I don't like them, and that's why I like the Legion a lot better.
sad times, though. What was it? Training was supposed to start tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's been pushed back till May 3rd. Just your typical USL's on that. It seems like they're on that every 2 weeks type deal. They're just taking it 2 weeks at a time, which is good. I mean, what else can you expect? What else more, you know? That's basically how you have to look at it now.
Yeah.
But, yeah. That's pretty much – I got Rocket League. That's the other thing I want to touch on.
And I was gonna before you do that, because that's probably more important than this. I was looking at Legion FC team store prices, and I mean, we already know it's outrageous what they charge for some of the stuff. But
I just want to like jump off a bridge into water or something.
Because I want that gear so bad. I want that, you know, Sweet Home jersey, and I want the authentic one. I don't want the T-shirt one that, you know, some people on the Birmingham sports staff like to wear and, you know, support. Russ, not name dropping Russ. But just for them to charge, and some of these prices, I didn't even realize it was this bad. But one good price that I found was the striped beanie for only $22.
Just got it in stock a couple of days ago.
Yeah, isn't too bad. And that is a clean look. And I mean, I know living in Birmingham, it's not like I'm back home or anything, but living in Birmingham, I'm not going to be, you know, wearing a beanie out and around. So I don't see why I would need it down here. But for those trips, you know, back home, if I go home in the winter, then that'd be a really clean look and only $22. Not bad.
See, I checked on the daily, man, and I'm okay. So I haven't even bought anything myself. I got a shirt, the Hammer Down shirt for my birthday. But I mean, this stuff, like, I just don't want to spend this money. And I get it, you know, like, what is it? Some of this stuff isn't bad at all. But like, from my point of view, high schooler, you know, just some of the stuff, you know.
Agreed.
Obviously, I want a bunch of it.
College student on a budget. I mean, I can't really afford to be paying $125 for a goalkeeper jersey. That's a little extreme, in my opinion. And I also wanted a polo too, and I realized they were $65. I mean, come on, a Nike dry fit polo should be like $40. They don't need to be out here charging $65 for an embroidered Legion patch on that.
I'm trying to pull up, like, I'm pulling this. See, I'm really glad that we got a podcast now, so we can just like keep going on. And throwing it back over to Barons will get you involved, Grant.
Yeah.
If you know anything about their merch. I was checking out them the other day, and it was like they had some sales that were extremely good, and I was like, hold up, is this like real?
And Grant, I'm going to let you speak, but this is the perfect time to display my stuff. So Barons, for sure, some of my absolute favorite minor league jersey memorabilia. Some of the stuff they had, I wanted some of their Jordan collab, obviously. But the stuff they have in store, reasonably priced, because they're team-issued jerseys, game-worn jerseys that I have here, same price as all the replica jerseys. So, I mean, why not just get a game-worn one? And, you know, because normally any other minor league team that I've seen is like charging $150 when I got that for like $70, which is the same price as, you know, game worn, everything, that authentic jersey compared to any other minor league team who would, you know, obviously increase prices by like a minimum of $50. The Barons are pretty cool for, you know, not charging a lot on that. And some of the stuff, the Barons, like, obviously they auction off a ton of their jerseys. That's how they get a lot of money. But like some of their jerseys, like the throwback, I love the red jersey.
They've got some of the cleanest jerseys.
Yeah, exactly. In all of the minor leagues. So like, you got to represent. I mean, that is something you could definitely invest in and feel proud about, because the Barons jerseys are just, it's a clean look, and you could rock those anywhere, honestly.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Popped up. Oh, dang it. Ovo popped up.
We saw him for a second there.
What is it? No, the Barons though. Yeah, I need to get some of the stuff because they have like Columbia stuff. Like, I want to say I saw a Columbia rain jacket.
Yeah.
The other day on sale is regularly like $80 or something, maybe $75. It's like down to like under $40, and I was like, hold up,
that's the deal.
Insane.
Some of my favorite stuff that I actually have is the Under Armour stuff. Like, I have an Under Armour long sleeve with
Under Armour's good.
Like their stuff with Under Armour with the little guy logo.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of the old fashioned B. I like the stuff with the guy on it with the mustache. You know, that's my favorite stuff.
But what is it? Talking about auctioning, bro. The Bulls, they made like $19,000 on their past two auctions. 19,000. Okay, yeah, I got this, bro. $88 for a jack. Like, it's Legion FC Nike full zip dry fit track top. $88. I mean, I know it's probably hella nice. But I mean, and they sold out of the black, but I mean, from my point of view, I'm sure of your point of view too.
Yeah.
Prices were a little lower. It's one of those things, if even though you're lowering the price, you're going to sell way more.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't tell. I feel like they were pretty stubborn with the prices on those jerseys, and obviously, if they still have a supply of them, that they're not like actually selling as many as they should be. Like if they were like $70 even, like if they brought those down $20, I feel like they would have sold out instead of still having a supply now.
See, the other thing is NCFC. I want to touch on this. I'm pretty sure I don't know exact numbers, but I believe their standard kit is like $90.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's up there for a USL team especially.
Is Akeem still sending you one?
Yeah. Just Corona happened. So.
Oh, okay. So it's a little delayed. I'm excited for you for that because that is a cool jersey.
Yeah, so like shelter in place. I know Chattanooga, they're not shipping anything out right now.
Really?
So I guess everything's kind of on hold.
Did you see what I put? Did you see what I put on my Instagram about the Chattanooga jerseys?
I want to get the red.
I want to get the white, honestly, but I mean both of them are so clean.
Yeah, but going back to the NCFC thing, like their base jersey is $90, but you can get a player name and number and all the badging. Between 110 and 120, I want to say. And where I want to go is the Legion are selling their Sweet Home kit for 110 with no player.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit. I would feel a lot better. 110 is still extremely like above NFL jerseys. Even though the NFL jerseys are base jerseys, but still. But if it was 110 with a player and number option, then I'd feel a lot more better about that.
And honestly, last year, and I mean, this is also reason for me to be hesitant to buy the Sweet Home or the black, because Ethan, you already know this, and you know how excited I was to get that from Femi. But knowing someone on the team last year, and having the opportunity to be hooked up with something, got the badges, repping the boy Femi on the back, I don't see what could beat this from an aspect of something that's offered in store, because one, the Legion overprice. So if they eventually offer names, it's going to be like another $30 minimum for like the badges, and they put the badges on the Sweet Home, but $110 for that when it's literally just the generic Nike kit. It's nothing special, no special design. It's the generic Nike template with one simple red diamond patch. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the jersey is super clean. I love that jersey. But for them to take a generic Nike template that's probably $40 on Nike ID or whatever it is, it's just, I feel like that's a little bit much. So that's why I'm hesitant to, go out and buy the red jersey.
We can go and we should just make this podcast next time, just criticizing all prices from all teams.
Yeah, exactly.
But honestly, I'm gonna roll with this for a minute because this is actually an interesting topic. Do you have anything besides Rocket League we have to touch on? Is there anything else we need to touch on?
Don't think so.
I don't think so.
Because we're gonna insert Rocket League real quick, and then honestly, if you guys want to, for another 5 minutes, I wanna revisit this shot because we're coming to that point where this is hot topic right here.
Yeah.
But Rocket League, Kaylor Hodges, shout out to him. He's been killing it on.
He's been absolutely destroying the competition.
I've been watching I missed one of his games, and I don't want to play this man in Rocket League, but I do actually want to play him in Rocket League. But it's kind of funny because everybody was like, "Oh, he's on caffeine or something," or not caffeine, soda.
Yeah.
No caffeine, I guess. But he was like, he did an interview with what's her name from USL, Steele. Something Steele. I don't know. She's their media person.
Okay.
But and he's like, all I do is drink water and Red Diamond, and he was plugging Red Diamond and all that. And then before his match, 2 days ago, his Red Diamond coffee mug after 5 years broke off, and he his handle like the handle just snapped off, and it's kind of funny. And Red Diamond's like, "We're crying with you, F in the chat," type deal. He made a whole video about it. But in the Discord chat, he said that Red Diamond actually hooked it up, so it's pretty cool.
Interesting.
Good of him to hook it up. But yeah, that's another funny thing. That group chat on was it the MCB group chat? Shout out all you MCB people. I plugged, what was it? Now they're gonna know who I am in the chat, but I plugged our podcast in there. Never said a word in there until I plugged it, and the whole chat stopped for the night. And usually it's like popping off, but it just stopped for a solid 12 hours, just the talking. And I was like, well, got their attention.
Good.
So yeah, that was pretty funny. But I mean, that's pretty much it in Rocket League. I know knockout stages, obviously, but I don't know exactly when the next game is. But he's playing, I forgot the team, but the guy that he's playing is extremely good.
Okay.
Like, I'm talking like he's the favorite to win it all, I'm pretty sure. But yeah. Okay, we can go back to shop talking now. But yeah, I want to actually touch on a couple things. Jay Heaps, if you're here, listen closely. We love you. We love the Legion. But
we're the number one Legion fans, okay? Sure, we're not, banging a drum in the MC Brigade every game, but I'm telling you, we are the number one fans.
Hey, was there from the beginning. Was the first game Bethlehem? I was there. I'm sure you were there. Were you there?
Actually, no. I was watching it though, but I couldn't go to that game.
What is it?
I never missed a game, but and it got to the point like when it hit summer after school ended, I was there every single time until I went back home. But yeah, that's the part that sucks about living in Indiana when your boys are playing in Birmingham and you can't represent.
Thank goodness for ESPN Plus.
Exactly.
But what is it? Yeah, St. Patty's Day T-shirt, $10 now. It was originally $20.
And it was originally supposed to be a giveaway. So
really,
yeah, they were supposed to. I think, if I'm correct, unless it was a different jersey, those are supposed to be giveaways.
I want to say that I could be completely wrong on this, but I want to say I read that they were giving away koozies, but they were going to have shirts on sale in the shop.
Look back, because I wrote an article. I remember writing an article. We're going to have to look back and check the blog, and you can do the same, people at home. And I remember that because I remember touching on the, the St. Patrick's Day celebration that, never happened.
Yeah, and then the kits from last year, $55 still. They still got a lot of sizes. I know they have a large and white, but in the black, they still have tons of sizes.
And I mean, the like I said, the part of me that really wants one of the black kits with the 3 sparks, because I love that design with the sparks, and that kit, sure, that can be the one that is more expensive, because to include the 3 sparks is actually something unique and really cool for the design. Plus, I like the red diamond logo that actually pops in red. That's just a really clean kit. But the part of me realizing that I'm not going to have another chance to, get a name, get the patches on it, and customize like that. Like, it's just, back and forth. Do I want to spend $55 on that? Do I want to save up for the red or whatever, the Sweet Home kit? So it's tough making these decisions, especially as a college student. But
yeah, I'm so close to pulling the trigger on the black kit, but I don't know.
The black, I think, and the gold standard in general is a super simple, clean kit. Like, you cannot go wrong with, especially playing like under the lights at nighttime and just seeing those boys in white and gold. Like, that combination was a great idea. And whoever designed that, whoever had the original design, you did a good job, man. I'm telling you, it's a simple design, but you did a really good job. And I do have to say, I like when the team mix they mix the white tops with black and then white.
So clean.
It looks so much better when they don't go with the same color from head to toe. I really appreciate the look of whether it's black, white, black, or black, white, white. Even that idea of black jersey, white shorts and socks. But just to mix it up a little bit, I think that is what looks the best for the players.
Yeah, my high school, we were in a tournament last year, and we either go all blue or all white. But, typical high school fashion, the other team doesn't show up in the right color. So we had to end up wearing blue, white, white, and that was so clean. I mean, I wish if we actually ended up wearing it a couple more times. And then like we also had baby blue long sleeves.
Wow.
Those look clean as well. But like, was it the gold popping? Yeah, I have the Hammer Down shirt.
Yeah.
And the reason I got that was because the whole gold pops. I just love it. But yeah, and there's like the polos and stuff. Those are a little, I feel like you said, 40, 45. Definitely could get it sub 50. Definitely could get it. So if I can just like feel the Legion front office, just like listening to this right now, being like, don't quote us on this. But
but the good thing is though, whoever did, come up with all the designs and stuff, Legion for sure, like easily have one of the top 3 logos in the entire USL.
It's
like
so clean and simple, but it encompasses so much. Like if you don't know the meaning behind it, go look it up because I can't remember it off the top of my head. Yeah. But there's so much meaning behind every aspect of it, which makes it 10 times cooler.
Yeah. They did a good job explaining it the one time, and from, like the 3 sparks to the actual, the hammer and whatever, all that stuff is explained. So it's out there, but it's a really cool concept, really unique design. And I think they did a really good job, especially with the colors too. The colors, I love those colors.
Yeah. What is it? The quarter zip up. I'm a sucker for quarter zip ups. Got one on right now. But $77. I mean, I know exactly the type of quarter zip up it is, and because we wore it in high school last year. It's a fleece inside. It's super nice for training in winter and stuff. But ours wasn't even $77. Ours was like from soccer.com, it was 60, I want to say, something like that. But I would not mind getting one of those if it was a little bit cheaper. And then you got your goalie kit. The goalie 125. I mean, it is a goalie kit, so I mean, it's kind of
it's cool, but then again, it's every single soccer team sponsored by Nike has that exact same template.
It's not. What is it? The black. You remember whenever the Legion wore the black? What is it? Not the Legion, but the goalies wore the black.
Yeah, for like, what game was that? Was it Tampa? Was it Tampa Bay? Yeah.
Yeah, because they touched it on the goalkeeper union. I remember Trevor had his on, and Ford was like, "Does that have your name on the back?" And Trevor was like, "Heck yeah." And Matt was like, "You never got to wear it though, because you didn't play." But yeah, the Birmingham Strong is like, that's 22. But I mean, okay. I'm not, what is it? You can't be critical about that because that's
And basically half of it's going to a really good cause with.
Yeah, I would pay that 22. I'm going to get one soon, obviously, but 22 for that, especially you're putting $10 towards that. So one shirt, last one I want to touch on here before we move on to Barons, because we got to give Grant some love. But because he's just been sitting here, I felt bad for like 30 minutes.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, going over to Barons, their prices are extremely good.
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
And if you go into store, I was going to say, if you go into
$80.
Yeah. If you go into store, they always have amazing things on sale. Like their sale rack is just it's a little old, sure, the design is probably from, who knows, 5 months ago, but it's still really, really cool looking stuff.
Yeah, they've got all these alternate jerseys that they wear for special occasions for $150, like the Star Wars jerseys and stuff like that. Pretty good prices.
Some of those jerseys are so crazy. I mean, that goes for the entire minor league with, one of the teams that I used to go to a bunch of games was the Fort Wayne Tin Caps. They're the Padres single A affiliate. They had a Lego night, and I still remember because there was a walk-off home run hit by Franmil Reyes, who's now a Cleveland Indian. But
he's really good too.
Yeah, it was Lego night, and those jerseys, those jerseys were insane. But I think a bunch of teams do Lego night and just cool, fun ideas like that. The Barons are really good, like you said, Star Wars. But also the Barons throwbacks that they wear for the Rickwood game.
I just saw that one. They got it for $125 game worn.
Those are super nice.
When is that game? So it's in early June.
It's supposed to be in June, but
I want to say exactly June 8th. But obviously that's probably not going to happen. But That game, I'm definitely gonna hit it up if it happens this year. I've never been to one,
Neither have I.
because
I
that's
want
like
to go. I've never even been to Rickwood, so I really want to go.
we all gotta get the hookup or something.
Yeah.
But that's like the oldest baseball stadium in the U.S., right?
Yep.
I think so. One of them.
Because Fenway is second oldest. Fenway's nice. It's so nice. The nostalgia there is like crazy.
Fenway's awesome. It's been a while since I've been, but Fenway's a great place.
Me too. I don't think I went last year. I think I went the year before. But it's kind of neat because I've sat pretty much everywhere except Green Monster and like right behind home plate.
Yeah.
So you get the different views and stuff. Yeah, I've never like, what is it? I've been like following the Barons. I'm a baseball fan, so I follow majors a lot. But minors, I follow the White Sox system usually because I used to live over near Charlotte. So I used to actually go to Charlotte. They used to play in South Carolina, actually. The Knights used to have a stadium in South Carolina. So, like in the same town I lived in. So I always go there. But, yeah, Barons have, like, crazy prices, honestly.
Yeah. I've got a Rickwood Classic game worn from 2015 for $80.
Yeah, I mean, that's not bad at all for a game worn jersey.
And that's their normal price for everything else.
Yeah.
The vintage, bro. The Birmingham across the front. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? I do like the red. The red pops.
The red, like, it was so hard for me to want to get pinstripes. Like, you cannot go wrong with pinstripes. And I mean, it's really hard to mess up a jersey with pinstripes, especially considering the White Sox are pinstripes too. But I mean, that red, like, that was one of the toughest decisions for me to choose one over the other.
There's like a Lost Barons signed jersey. Their signed jerseys are $150. Jeez.
Interesting.
That.
I mean, I might pay, like, I don't know who it would be, like Eloy Jimenez maybe from a few years back. Like, if he signed a jersey, then I'd pay $150. But I mean, I'm not sure, like, if I'd be willing to, pay for like some dude coming out of the bullpen, like on 2 separate appearances for a signed jersey that's $150. I don't know about that, but.
I'm like looking. I want to know if there's a Luis Robert if they put one of those.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that would be scooped up though.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's starting center field probably.
You have like there's 4 choices for the signed players, and I think you just get them depending on what they have left in stock. Yeah, Luis Robert.
Let's just hope they're players signing them, not like groundskeepers pretending.
Well, it said like a pitcher or something like that.
But wait, so you don't know which player is actually going to sign it though? Like, do you just have to like pick?
So here's one, the breast cancer awareness one. You have like 4 choices since they're game worn, and you get, it's like first come first serve. You pick.
Okay.
So this one already has 2 gone, and you can pick between Drew Garcia and Joey DeMichelle. I think it's kind of the same across all of them.
Yeah. What is it? You remember that jacket I was talking about earlier? That rain jacket? It's a red, like split red and gray with the Birmingham Barons logo on it. Columbia jacket. Okay. Originally $70, down to $35.
Wow.
For Columbia, I don't know. Yeah, they only have small and extra large left. But I mean, still, a Columbia jacket with Barons on it, that's half off.
It's really good.
And one of the toughest things for me to do, but like, I love the hats that the Barons have. I mean, there's a huge selection. And I mean, if you go into the actual store, like they even have, I'm not sure if they still do, but like they even have like White Sox hats and some of those designs. But I'm not really a fan of, fitted like actual baseball caps because I prefer like the strap in the back. But this one right here, that's like my favorite Barons hat. I think that's so clean with the black brim. But they have a ton of hats. Like if you look, and this is what I was talking about. Like this one, I love how they incorporated the throwback White Sox, but it says, Beham instead.
Those are clean.
Yeah.
I just love those hats.
And that one's only $20.
Yeah. So that's not a bad deal at all.
Dang, now I just want to like go below $200 on like unintentionally. But
they got a ton of White Sox stuff in here too.
Yeah.
They have the Jumpman logo too on some stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I've seen polos and like full zip jackets that were Jordan sponsored. So they do a decent job promoting.
What is
And I mean, I'm not sure if it's. You'd have to assume that Michael Jordan himself would have some impact. I'm not sure if the Barons would have reached out to Jordan saying it, or if I feel like MJ would have to like say, okay, we're gonna, if you guys are interested, we can hook you up with some like new design concepts and stuff. So
yeah, I was reading an article today, and it was like, I forgot who, I think it was on MILB on Twitter. There's like this guy, and he's like, no doubt, if Jordan would have stayed, he would have made it to the majors or something like that. So that was really cool. Plus the documentary's dropping tonight.
Yeah.
Right now,
we're missing
actually.
it as we speak.
We are?
Yeah,
Yes,
it started at 8.
Started at 8.
Thank goodness. Yeah, we appreciate you guys listening to episode 5. 5 episodes down already, dang. Of the Birmingham Sports Podcast, or Birmingham Sportscast. 2 names. But yeah, be sure to check us out on Twitter at BHamSports_, on Instagram, Birmingham Sports. New website in the works, so blogs aren't really going up right now, as you probably know. Anything else? You guys want to plug anything?
Grant, you go first if you want to.
All right, now I got something in the works, but that's way off in the future. So
I write for the Sanford Crimson, and I post everything on my Twitter if you want to follow it. It's Gunnar GUNNAR023. But yeah, I do a lot of sports writing. I'm the sports editor for the Sanford Crimson, which is a school I go to. So got a bunch of stuff on my Twitter. Instagram's the same, and sometimes I put it on there too. If you want to go check that out too.
Yeah, sweet. We should have a guest next time. No promises. If you're still listening, we'll give you that insight. Yeah, a couple things in the works. Definitely fun times ahead. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Have fun editing this for us. And thank you guys for listening to episode 5 of the Birmingham Sports Podcast, or Birmingham Sportscast, whatever it is. Thanks for sticking around. See you next time.
See ya.